is they put out there, which cannot be disputed by anybody. Now that you see that, you want the solution. I have it for you. I'll lay that out today. But first, let me just say something about this whole thing with Israel. You know, forever, Israel has been our best friend, or one of our best friends. And it's been like that without any question. Hold on a second. How you doing? Smoking a cigar. It smells great. Believe it or not. Anyway, used to smoke cigars, not anymore. Periodically. Not anymore. Saw a whole thing on HBO about mouth cancer from cigars. Whew, bad news. Anyhow, the progressive movement has really put, I don't know how to explain it. It has put a strain on the U.S. relationship with Israel because progressives, by and large, own the media, right? So you get somebody like Obama, who, as far as I'm concerned, is anti-Israel, right? And pro everything else around Israel, does deals that you can't imagine why, right? And then you've got the media, who will basically defend Obama no matter what he does. And before you know it, we got Israel, who was our best friend we used to protect, to now all of a sudden to blame them. Great story. I once had a guy on my show, back when I was doing the Newsmax show. He writes a blog called The Lid, small little blog. And he's Jewish, very pro-Israel, and said, Dennis, there was a test once ran not so long ago on Facebook. 2 pages created at the very same time. One was pro-Palestine, one was pro-Israel. On the Israeli page, they wrote the same words, same ugly words, describing hatred for the Palestinians. On the Palestine page, they used the same words, but just changed out Israel and Palestine, saying the same thing about the Israelis. Nothing was different other than inserting and taking out Israel or Palestine. Boom, both pages go up. Would you know it? They go in as a separate user, and the person who runs the test complains about the Palestine page and complains about the Israel page, right? So it's the same person making the complaint. You get this, right? The person who sets up the 2 pages then also goes in on the dummy account, submits a complaint to Facebook about the one, commits about the other one. The Israeli page, taken down. The Palestine page, left to be. Yeah, so Obama and his media puppets have been able to push this anti-Israeli, anti-Israel message to try to make it so this way Israel is blamed for just basically everything. And Obama has done what he's done now with the UN. And again, you want to hear about it? Go on Fox News and all the other ones. There's nothing else to talk about. So they're all talking about it today, and you get it from them. I don't want to waste my time going into the nitty-gritty. They'll give it to you. It basically comes down to this. Obama is an angry man. He's always been an angry man. He doesn't know how to relinquish the power to the White House as a gentleman. And that's because he's not a gentleman. Okay, he's never been a gentleman. He's a phony. He's a guy who gets up there and gives speeches. He's a phony orator who just comes out with total BS. And when you look under the cover, what you really do is you get an angry man. And so what he just did, as unprofessional as you can be, he just tried to kick in the nuts both Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu on his way out the door. It was his big way of giving the middle finger to Trump and to Netanyahu. Yeah, but let me tell you something. I'd bank everything on this. That the guy who's going to get the middle finger at the end is President Barack Hussein Obama. His legacy is written in stone. In stone. You don't kick Donald Trump in the groin and get away with it. No, you don't. You don't. So you know what? Let him do all he wants to do now. I mean, he's tied the hands of Donald Trump to a certain degree, but Trump will figure a way around it. and we'll get into the UN stuff tomorrow at length. In fact, maybe I'll spend most of the walk and talk just explaining it to you so you understand all the nuances. Unless I hear all the emails back from you saying, hey, DML, we don't want to hear about it. Tell us something else. But anyway, so I'm going to answer the big question you guys asked me, and I see our crowd now is bigger than it was when it first started. Let me just give a repeat to these people who just came in real quick. DML, your buddy, your true friend, is late today, twice today, for some stomach pains that just seem to just jump up on him at any given time when it wants to go. So I'm going to run a little shorter today because I need to be close to home, if you understand why. And also too, I was on the phone with a very dear friend who we were having a very serious conversation, and so wanting to stay home and not wanting to hang up that phone, I had to put off the walk and talk a little bit. I apologize. My first time really in 2 months since I've been doing this where I haven't been bending the clock. All right, so anyhow, I asked you to tell me what topic you wanted me to cover today, and having all of you, most of you, seeing my films and highlighting the immigration issue like I have, and now you get to see it in a way you never saw it before. People are saying, okay, now you have to tell me how we really fix this, because you understand now that a wall is not going to do what it is that you're all hoping it was going to do. And I've been saying this for a long time, and now that you've gotten the visuals through my films, you get it. Okay, here's how you solve this problem. And I know, and this is what I was going to run on. Remember, don't forget, I was going to run. I was exploring the whole thing. And at the end, decided it wasn't best for my health at the time and my family. And you put it all together, my kids, as you saw, maybe too young. It's just too young, you know. And there's such crap. People are such crap, you know. When it comes to politics, I say, oh, I want my family attacked like this. No, I don't. So there'll be a day, maybe, God willing. But until then, here's how I would fix, and how I suggest Donald J. Trump, President-elect, fixes the immigration issue. And notice I say immigration because it's a twofold problem. You've got the legal immigration and you've got the illegal immigration. Both of it combined is a ticking time bomb for the United States. Okay, first of all, let me explain a few things to you that were said in my movie, but again, we'll use as a prelude to the fix. Back in the 1980s, Congress changed things to suddenly take in more than 1 million people every year legally into this country. The American people never asked for this. Congress did it on its own, and we've been paying the price ever since. It has changed so many different things in this country, and including the fact of making it harder for people. Oh, it's really windy, and I should probably, because my stomach is starting to go, hello. I should go back the other way. It has made it more hard, more difficult for the American worker to find a job and to scale his or her wages. Now, how is that? How can you blame some immigrant who's coming over from wherever on wages? Because they'll try to make the argument that it's not them. It is. It is a supply and demand situation. The more workers you have, the bigger pool of people to choose from, the less you have to pay. Especially when you start taking in high-skilled workers on the H-1B visa program, then it makes it really tough for our biggest and brightest brains to be able to find a job at a wage that they can really live on and scale in a way to where they too could live the American dream. And remember, this country is based on entrepreneurship. You know, small businesses and small entrepreneurs basically make up for most of the job growth in this country. When you strip their ability to start businesses, and for the first time pretty much in our history, we've been having more companies go out of business than starting under the Obama administration. When you don't give, you know, any person who starts a business usually started off as an employee somewhere or another. So, I mean, just off my businesses, I bet you off the top of my head, I could rattle off 10 of my employees who now have businesses who employ people. One of my best buddies who lives in Chicago, outside Chicago, has a computer business. He used to work for me. Now he's employing 20, 25 people doing the same thing he used to do for me. So when you strip away the ability for the American worker to have a job and be able to make enough money to where not only they could live, but maybe save and go out and start their own business one day, what you do is you sort of stop that natural progression of passing it on so more businesses develop. Okay. That's the legal immigration part from a jobs perspective. From a national security perspective, when you take in so many people, I often describe it like this. Do you remember the I Love Lucy episode where she was sitting at the chocolate factory and all the chocolates were coming through and her job was to wrap them, and yet they were coming in so quickly she could only wrap a few, and then she would hide it in her skirt. She was hiding it everywhere in her chest. But you remember that whole episode? Okay, that's our immigration system. Oh, DML, boy, do you explain that stuff good. Yeah. Okay, so that's our immigration system. So in doing that, we are missing people, or we're giving them shorter background checks than we would otherwise. Hat's giving me a problem today. I'm a mess today. Car's coming. Hold on. So it's that I Love Lucy thing, right? Where like, okay, some of them are getting wrapped correctly, but the rest are going through in a way they shouldn't be going through. And so that's our immigration system legally right now. And that's why so many times you got people coming in here and they turn out to be maniacs, or they turn out to be like, how the hell did they get into this country? Or how the hell did we overlook that? Well, there you go. It's the chocolate. We got too many coming in. That's why that needs to be slowed down. Okay. So you got the national security end, you got the business end. Then you just got the whole cultural side. The whole cultural side is that this country was built on the fact, not that we are a land of immigrants, we are a land of laws. And so we invite immigrants to come in, to abide by those laws, and to build upon their dreams, if you will, and then thus become part of the American dream. But we invite them here with the understanding that they will blend into our culture. That's where you got the whole melting pot. Well, we don't have a melting pot anymore. We have a pot over here for them, and a pot over here for them, and a pot over here for them. And when you put those pots together, they're not mixing into a good tasting stew anymore. And so why is that? Because we're taking in so many people and we are not giving them the opportunity to blend into society, nor are we giving them the incentive to blend into society, because we keep on pumping in. Look, you look at Minnesota, a whole pocket of Somalians going to one place. Somalia. They got no reason. They have no reason to try to become Americanized. Why? They walk out their front door and it's Somalia. So that's what we've created. We've created these pockets of cultures. That's not the way it was intended. That's not what immigration was made for. And by the way, you learned in the movies that immigration was originally led by the Labor Department, because it was based on the fact of, you know, these people are going to come over and they were going to have jobs. A lot of these people are coming over now and there are no jobs. I mean, it's a total nightmare. And remember this, immigration laws weren't designed to help immigrants. They were designed to protect American lives and American jobs. And we now are doing it completely opposite. America, you know, everybody says we need immigration reform to help the immigrants. No, we need immigration reform. No, we need to enforce our immigration laws as they were designed to protect you and me. That's where the whole system, just like I said with the Israel thing, has flipped upside down on its head. It has now been completely misinterpreted. It has completely been switched over. This way, most people who are watching the news have no idea what this stuff was really designed to do, because the narrative has been all about immigration reform to help immigrants. And that's not the case. You tell somebody that the immigration laws and immigration was led by the Labor Department, to be like, really? I had no idea. Of course you didn't. They don't tell you that on television. So, and you want to know why? Because probably most of them don't even know. All right, doesn't say it on the teleprompter. They don't know. Now you look at the illegal immigration. You've seen it. I showed you. It's coming in through the borders. Yes. But as you saw in the film, about half, and that's an estimate. That's taking a number and throwing it against the wall and saying, oh, it sounds good. Half are coming in on visa violations, meaning they came here legally and they decided, I think I'm gonna stay. Gonna stay, it's good here. I'm not gonna fill out that paperwork. I'll get around to it sooner or later. That's where they're here. Okay. The reason why people say half, and you can never get anybody to really get a number on it, is because we truly don't know how many people are coming in through the border. I mean, it has gotten a little bit easier now, because in the old days, like 3 years ago, before Obama changed everything, There was no catch and release program. You had to run away from the Border Patrol. And basically, your ticket to America was if you could outrun the Border Patrol. And so that's why they would used to have things like, they'd come in, this is back when I was doing my movies in the beginning, this is the way it was. They would come in fact, if you watch They Come to America 2, you see me in that one scene, I'm dressed with all the Border Patrol. We're out there at nighttime catching these guys. Most of them are, you know, drug cartel guys, and one guy we had from the Middle East. But what they do is they know that the Border Patrol is undermanned. So they'll come in groups of 50, 60, and so 20 will run to the left, 20 will run up the middle, 20 will run to the right. The question is, where do we, there's only 6 of us at the Border Patrol, 7 of us at the Border Patrol, who do we go after? So maybe we break up, maybe we all go after one group, but more getting away than we're grabbing. So we really don't know how many people are ever here in the country. Unlike now, where it's catch and release, these people just hand themselves over because they know that they're going to be released. In fact, they're going to get a meal, some new clothing, and a whole nice, you know, patting and smiling and a drop off with a free ticket to somewhere USA on a bus. Okay, so we don't know how many people are in here illegally. That's why when you hear that whole number about 11 million, you go back and look at my movies, how I told you how Reagan said it was 1 million in 1986. It turned out to be 4 million people who got amnesty. So the government, here comes the saying, can't find its buttocks with both hands. It doesn't know what the number is. You hear 11 million, 8 million, 20 million, 30 million. You know, if history repeats itself, and 11 million is the number they're going off, quite possibly, and I would bet my money on this, we're looking at 44 million people in the country illegally. But nonetheless, we know, at least we think we do, that a high percentage, meaning more than 10-20%, are coming in on visas. So your wall theory as being the end-all, stop-all, this is what we need, doesn't work. Will the wall work? Is it worth time? Absolutely. But it is simply one finger in a 5-finger solution. Okay? It is not. You're not going to put a wall, see like the hedges, okay? If this hedge right now represents my ability to break into that person's house, yeah, there's a pain in the neck, right? Let's see. I want to get into that house and I got this hedge. Well, boy, what am I going to do? I could climb that tree and jump over, or I could dig a hole underneath and get under, or if I had like a little bomb, boom, I could bomb through it and go through it. Or if I wanted to, I could just walk down a little bit further, and that driveway represents a waterway, and I just go into the water. So the wall is a deterrent, just like the fence is a deterrent. It's not going to work on its own. So that said, all of those components put in. And oh, by the way, you're just thinking of the southern border. As you saw in They Come to America 3, the northern border is just as bad, if not more dangerous, from a Islamic situation where you have Islamic terrorists who would want to get into Canada very easily because they're very friendly in Canada, and just let them come across into the US from various different ways. Okay, so DML, what do we do? I have told you this before, but for those of you who are new, here it is again. And even if you do remember me telling you this before, it's never too old to get perfect information. And my plan is perfect. In 2013, there were about 5,010 maybe? I don't know. Let's just call it 5,000. 5,000 bank robberies. Most of them were successful. Bank robber broke into a bank despite security cameras, vaults, secret this, secret passwords, all the other stuff. Broke in, stole the money, and got away. How can that happen? I'll tell you why. Because the robber knows that there's money inside, and he or she figures out how to get that money and how to get out of Dodge quick enough. Yeah. How many bank robberies of closed banks, banks where the bank has gone out of business and there's no money in the vault, how many people broke into those banks in 2013? Do, 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 do. 0. Why, DML? Well, unless they were breaking in for shelter, and that was a big thing to go through. You could have just gone into your local 7-Eleven and hung out in the bathroom, which I'm going to have to do real soon. There's no money to steal. There's no incentive. Who wants to break into a bank if there's no money to get? Why take the risk? Why get caught breaking in and entering into a building for the sake of walking out with nothing? Yeah. The way that you stop the majority of illegal immigration and mass immigration to the United States of America is by ripping out the incentive. If you take out the incentive for people to be able to get a job, to get benefits, to live here without any fear or prosecution at all, if you rip those things out, they won't come. If you don't let them get a free education, they won't come. If you tell them they're going to come here and still be poor like they were at home, and they're not going to get anything from anybody here for free, they won't come. There's no money in the vault. They're going to stay where they are, in the country where the person next door speaks the same language. They're going to stay in a situation where they're comfortable in their home country, because despite the countries having violence, which, oh, by the way, as you saw in They Come to America 3, the whole idea that they're coming here simply because of violence is baloney. Our cities, as I showed in They Come to America 3, have, when you look at the per capita, the danger of being killed in one of our cities, in many cases, and that's where these people are shipped off to, by the way, is just as bad as it is in some of the other nations. So that whole thing that they try to sell you is baloney. All right, I'm gonna go to the car. Yeah, give me a second. Unlock. Okay. Can you see me? Ooh, it's a little romantic in here. Tell you what, it's a lot warmer. So anyway, so you cut down the incentive magnet, if you will. You eliminate it. You get rid of it completely, and the people won't come. Yeah. Now, as far as the incentive for legal people to come here, right now, our immigration system is based on family. Who is your family? Who's your daddy? Whoever your daddy is, whoever your sister is. It's the family reunification. It's what it's seen in the movies as chain migration. So we take in Sally from Sweden, and before you know, Sally from Sweden is making a petition to send over mommy and daddy and her brothers and sisters, and it never, ever, ever stops, because it's all based on family reunification. Instead, the country has to be based on what you offer us from a jobs perspective and from a quality perspective to give us what we don't already have. That's what our immigration program should be. Fill in. Look, if you're a baseball team, okay, think of it this way. If you're a baseball team and you've got 5 pitchers on your staff that could literally make it to the Hall of Fame, and you got your first draft pick, do you pick another pitcher? Or do you pick the fact that you haven't had a really good shortstop in a long time? What you do is you pick the shortstop. Right now, what you would do if you were the if immigration rules applied to baseball, you would pick another pitcher because he's related to your number 2 guy. Makes no sense. You're still without a shortstop. That's how our immigration works. So if we put the immigration system for legal back based on what you bring quality to this country that we no longer have, and we lower the amount of numbers of people that we take in, these problems that I talked about, they solve themselves. Now, you still have the whole, well, they can cross the border, Dennis. They could cross the border with drugs or Islamic terror. Yes, you're correct. And that's where the wall does come in. Because right now, the Border Patrol is so undermanned and so understaffed, as you saw in my films. They are professional diaper changers. They are professional taxi drivers. They're taking families and they're bringing them over to the Border Patrol station to be checked out real quick, with, oh, by the way, most of the checking out that we do is sort of inaccurate because we can't get into certain systems that we need to get into to see who Johnny and Joey and Susie really are. And as you saw in the movies, 25% of these people turn out to be liars anyway. Then we turn around and we put them on the buses and they come into the country. It's a problem. If the Border Patrol guys and gals didn't have to do that anymore, and they can focus completely on watching the border and completely looking for tunnels and completely looking for crossers that are coming across the water where the walls are not, we would stop the drugs. We would stop the terror that's coming through the country. Or at least we'd bring it down to a bare minimum. We'd make the job of the cartel and the criminal so much more harder than it is today. Putting this into place, and oh, by the way, there's a whole nother thing that I've never even talked to you about. We have a thing called the lottery. Yeah, an immigration lottery, where we literally every single year take thousands of names, put them into, just like you have your local lottery, right? You have your Powerball. We put these names into a lottery, spin the bucket and pull it out and be like, okay, Kenny Jones from, where is that? Tanzania, come on in. Yeah, we literally give away citizenship in this country, green cards in this country, in a lottery system. Oh my God, DML, I never knew that. Yeah, we do. For what reason? There's no benefit to you, the American voter. There's no benefit to you, the American citizen. There is nothing that you get out of that. We have a lottery system, and that's the way it works. Yeah, look it up. Immigration lottery system. You'll be blown away. Most people don't even know about it. I don't think I ever covered it in any of my movies. I should. You put into place what I just talked about. How does it happen? I'm Donald J. Trump, right? President Donald Trump, or President Dennis Lynch. Let's just say, for instance, I had his job come January 20. After the inaugural ball, which yours truly is going to, but after the inaugural ball, the next day, I get on the phone. I call every single last department that is associated with immigration. And I say to them immediately, you are to absolutely enforce every single immigration law on the books today. No questions asked, no penalties. You're not going to lose your job, nothing. Hang up the phone. Boom. Instantaneously, you will start to see the numbers go down. Number 2 call. Hey, Congress, we're going to have to pass something called mandatory e-verify. Yeah, we're going to have to fight fire with fire. Part of eliminating the incentive is not just the incentive for the illegal alien or the visa violator to not break the laws, but it's the American entrepreneurs, the American businesses who are breaking the laws based on the incentive of greed. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell them that if you hire illegal aliens, you are going to pay a fine that is going to feel like you're passing a baby out of your ear. Yes. And if you do it again, we're actually going to prosecute you. Yes. Once you start fighting fire with fire, it completely stops, because the entrepreneur who was hiring these people in the first place, by and large, because it is that they want the cheaper labor, they will stop, because the fines, right now the fines are bupkis and nobody ever gets fined, okay? But the fines, you raise the fines to a level to where you can no longer classify it, or I should say itemize it as a cost of doing business. So in other words, what do you mean DML, cost of doing business? Okay, well, let's say for instance that I can hire Joe from Mexico for $30,000 a year, and I got to get Joe from Oklahoma for $50,000 a year, right? That's the difference between the two. Well, if I'm going to get a fine for hiring Joe from Mexico for basically $3,500, but nothing's ever going to be done to me, I'm going to say, okay, I'll take the fine, because it's the cost of doing business. I could still have Joe from Mexico. Now it's going to cost me $33,500 versus $50,000. You turn around and you put on a fine of $10,000, and you say, if we come back again and he's still here, you're going to be fined $20,000, plus we are going to prosecute. Now what you're looking at is a fine of potentially $30,000 and going to jail. How much money do you think the business owner can make when he's behind bars? You can't. So you've got, again, it's all based on incentive. Rip the incentive out to come, rip the incentive out to hire, night, day, over. Next, you call up all the sanctuary cities and just say, listen, I am officially turning off your funding. It's that simple. Now, what you're going to have is you're going to have all these progressive people, because that's really what it comes down to. These big cities are run by progressives. You're going to have them do all this crazy stuff they're doing now. We will defy your orders, and blah, blah, blah. They'll get the sheriff to get up there in some cases and say, we're going to defy your orders. Okay, once the money doesn't flow in, when the American people are sitting there saying, why can't I get this? Because what? Yeah, it changes real quick. Everybody's a tough guy until you take their wallet away. Hold on, let me plug in my phone here. I'm losing. DML, how's the stomach feeling? Oh, it's holding up right now that I'm walking. I'm not walking anymore. I'm feeling a little better. I'm feeling like I go for a couple more minutes here. All right, next. After the sanctuary cities. All right, now keep in mind, this is not taking a long time. This is not taking a long time at all. Now you got to start getting into what takes a long time. Now you got to go back to Congress and say, okay, we need to work together, because I'm going to spearhead this in lowering the amount of people who are coming into this country. And oh, by the way, we are not taking in anybody anymore from any country at all who harbors terrorists whatsoever. And the other countries who have known to have been taking in a lot of refugees, i.e. Germany, same thing. Until we can have an ironclad system to where you can say, we need to take this person in because they offer us value, and number two is you can tell me what that person had for breakfast 5 years ago, they're not coming in. There's no value to my country. Immigration laws were set to defend the American people and the American worker. The American people meaning their lives. That's how it works. That's what's going to be put in place. You start putting these things in place, like I'm talking about, you turn off the lottery, this problem is solved. Now, I know the other thing you're going to say, which is, yeah, we've got to change the 14th Amendment. Couldn't agree with you more. The fact that somebody can come over the border or overstay a visa, plop out their baby, and all of a sudden them get awarded with U.S. citizenship is ridiculous. That is not what the 14th Amendment was written for. It was written back in the day to protect the slaves who had had children here in the country. It was not to protect Susie from Mexico or Susie from Ireland. You could go the Ireland thing if you want, all right? Or Susie from Italy to come over here, plop down a baby, and be like, oh, okay, I got citizenship now. It's not what it was designed for, all right? But to change the 14th, that's going to be a big, huge hurdle. Yeah, it's not that easy. Trump can't do it like this. However, keep in mind that with very few people coming across the borders, with very few people overstaying their visas, and I have to talk about the fact that we need a better, I didn't talk about that yet, better exit entry system. Our exit entry system now sucks. We know who you're coming, we know when you're coming in, but we have no idea when you're leaving. That's absolutely absurd. It's absurd. It's like letting people come into your department store, counting how many people come in, and then saying store's closed, turning your eyes and closing your eyes and just thinking that everybody left without taking anything. It's nuts. It's so stupid. We don't have the processes in place. We need to have the processes in place. That's it. It's that simple. And this all can be done. The problem is that, especially from a technology standpoint, the problem is that people don't want to have it done. This is not about us not being able to figure out how to solve these problems. It's not about us not being able to build a strong fence or a strong wall. It's about not having the will to have these things done. There has never been any will. And the one thing about Donald Trump, unless he's completely BSing us up and down the boulevard, and if he is, we've got bigger problems to deal with. He has the will. He has the will. And so these things can be put in place. You can peel back DACA for all these dreamers. I've already talked to you about this before. Dreamers, my kid's a dreamer. Let's take care of the dreamers who are American citizens before the dreamers who came over here illegally. I don't care what age they were when they came over. It does not make it any better for my kid because you're going to sell me the story that this little girl came over when she was 2 years old by her parents who came over and dragged her without a will. I don't care. If it's affecting my child, which, oh, by the way, it is, because these kids right now, they're coming here illegally, they're getting entitled to in-state tuition. Who do you think's paying for that? They're taking from a pool of money that was supposed to be designed for your kid and my kid. What the hell is that all about? What are you thinking about? Makes no sense at all. I don't want to hear about it. You think, we just did a thing on Dennis Michael Lynch. We've been doing it all the last month about how illegal aliens are now taking high-skilled jobs. Yeah. You think these kids, they're going to school, we're teaching them, and they're going out of school, and you think they're saying, oh, yeah, let me go pick some grapes. No, not at all. They're going to get jobs. There are some states where they're actually allowing these people to go become lawyers and school teachers and teachers' assistants. Go talk to one of your friends whose kids had just graduated and wants to become a school teacher about the long waiting list there is in some cases. We're going to start hiring illegal aliens to do this? This is crazy. This is crazy stuff. This is not, as I just laid out to you these things, this is not a hard problem to solve. It's actually relatively easy. It's a huge problem because we let it spiral out of control. All you have to do is, like I said, this isn't something you could do in a day. It's one of those, it's sort of like losing weight. The hardest part is in the beginning, but once you start to lose the weight and you're on cruise control and you got this new diet, new exercise plan, it all becomes second nature, and each week you start losing a little more, until 8 months from then, 9 months from then, not only are you looking like a whole new person, not only are you feeling like a whole new person, but your lifestyle has changed to where you don't even have to worry about what it used to be. That's what this is like. I can't give you a better example. The hard part is the first step. It's really what it is. It's the first day. And the first day, if you turn off the incentive, the majority of this problem goes away. And let me say this in parting. I have a lot of respect for Judge Napolitano, who appears on Fox News all the time. In fact, I just watched, somebody sent me a clip the other day, and they sent it because they loved how I shut down Megyn Kelly. Go back. It was back during the surge 2 years ago. Megyn had on Judge Napolitano and myself to talk about immigration. It was during the surge. And we were on the day before, what's his name? Cantor. Remember Eric Cantor? The day before Eric Cantor lost his spot to the professor in, in Virginia. We were on the night before. And we were talking about immigration. And Cantor, by and large, lost because of immigration. And Judge Napolitano and I were on with Megyn for about 12 minutes, the two of us. And it was such a powerful 12 minutes. And yes, I shut Megyn down. You should check it out. Maybe we'll post it later. But she was giving me some BS. And I said to her, oh, Megyn, it was great how I did it. But Judge and I were going back and forth. And after we were done, when it went to commercial, I said to Megyn, we should do this again, the Judge and I, because this is probably the best segment I've ever done on Fox with all, 100 segments. This is the best one I ever did. And the Judge looked to me and said, you're right. This is the best segment, Megyn. And Megyn said, yeah, we'll do it again. The next night, when Cantor lost, Laura Ingraham, the radio host, who also is always, she's a contributor for Fox, she called in to Megyn's show and said, the most powerful segment I have ever seen ever on Fox News was last night with Judge Napolitano and Dennis Michael Lynch. So we felt what it is that everybody else saw. And I had explained at that point in time that by and large, the people who are here illegally will leave if you turn off the faucet. Judge Napolitano yesterday, or maybe it was earlier today, I can't remember, it was one of the two, was on Fox and said that the deportation of these people is somewhat unrealistic because he said it would cost up to $250,000 per person to be deported. It is probably the first time that I have ever said, ooh, Judge.
it wouldn't cost $250,000 for each person to be deported. You turn off. I'd love to have another little. You know what? I would actually go back on her show just to be able to have this debate with Judge Napolitano. And it bothers me that so many millions of people heard him say that, because that's the narrative that gets out there. Now people think, because they heard it by the millions and they start spreading it out, that it will cost $250,000 per person. All of a sudden people are like, we got to, that's crazy money. We got to start figuring another way. No. First of all, they'll take that $250,000 and they'll times it by 11 million, and that's how they'll come up with this crazy number. If you turn off the incentive, not only will people not come, but people will go home. They're going to leave. If they think that they're going to start getting taxed and fined, and they're going to have to start spending all the money that they have saved under the pillow to start living the expensive life you and I live, and have to start paying taxes, they are gone. They're going back. Especially for places like Mexico, where their economy has started to come back. Oh, and by the way, why? Because they've been funneling money back to Mexico, and now Mexico's like, hey, we got a lot more money. Let's start building some stuff. And then they all go back. The amount of people that will leave this country in what's known as self-deportation, Mitt Romney, although we don't really like him anymore, he was spot on with that. Self-deportation, the problem goes like this. And we don't have to pay for anything. They're paying for their own way. Go, just get out. And never coming back. Once that happens, we're not paying for that. So now you got to take your number of amount of people and you got to bring it down in terms of what it's going to cost the American people. But nobody ever does that. Nobody ever does that math. They just do it to scare the hell out of you and say, oh, 11 million people times this money. No, it's not. And so now when you have this many people that have to go through the court systems to get deported, the court systems aren't going to be so backed up. And without all those backups, the cost to the court system is going to be less. Because yes, when you're backed up, it does cost you more money to operate than it does otherwise. I don't care what anybody says. I just sat in what I told you, traffic court the other day, watching how it is that the judge kept on saying, okay, you'll be back next week. Okay, you're back next month. Okay, you're back next week. Wait a second. I'm paying for this. Deal with it now. They don't do that. So now when it's not backed up anymore and we're flowing people through, they're going home. $250,000? Takes us $250,000 to deport somebody? That is such a fabrication. And if it is, and if he's got some kind of statistical numbers that he can show me that are true, give that to me. And as somebody who is not a wasteful spender, it's somebody who tries to watch every single dime they possibly can, especially somebody like Donald Trump who says, oh, by the way, I'm not going to spend $4 billion on an airplane, figure out how to give me 2 for less. You know, Donald Trump will take a look and say, $250,000. That's seriously? This should be costing us $1,500. And that's if we're going to pay for the airline. Yeah, we'll give them a $500 one-way ticket, even $500. Can't we get discount flight? Why can't we do discount flights through Delta? Why can't we get Delta and American Airlines? Let's do a contract with them where we guarantee them that they're going to be booking planes for months and months and months and months. Every seat will be booked. We're going to pay top dollar, $250, $300 per seat. Fill them up every single day. Airlines would be doing great. Yeah, but you kidding me? This is a moneymaker. Yeah, $1,500. That's what it's going to be. Go and sit in front of the judge. You're all set and done. Great. Here's your papers. Okay, here's your plane ticket. We're going to send you back to Guatemala, back to El Salvador, back to wherever, back to Australia, back to Ireland, wherever you're going. And by the way, you're going to be paying an American airline or an airline that's funding and jobs, and we got thousands upon thousands of employees at all these airlines. Yeah, we're going to fill up the seats. You know, and that trickles down because all the people who make the inline food, right, who make all the food for when you're on the flight, they're going to be making more food because we have more people. It's a moneymaker sending these people home. It should be a moneymaker, not a loss. $1,500. Oh, and by the way, these guys, the illegal alien, they should be putting towards it. Yeah, you're going to have to have a fine. The fine is you got to pay X amount of dollars. And if you don't do it, guess what? We're going to charge your home country. That's another thing, too. We have laws in place that if you don't take back your citizens, when we send them back, you get your visas turned off. Nobody ever enforces that. They tell us, no, we don't want them back. You don't want them back. You get them back. And if you don't get them back, we're turning off your visas. We're turning off the visas. And if that still doesn't work, you're never getting any aid from us again. Go ahead, let's see what happens the next time you have an earthquake. And you call and say, please help. Yeah, call Russia. It ain't happening. Tough love. You can size up this whole conversation I just had right here. Tough love. You put in tough love, It's lights out, game over, no more crap. Yeah, the amount of money we'll save, Judge Napolitano with his $250,000 per person, let me tell you something. You get rid of these people in this country who are here illegally, and I got to stop. I don't have to pay time and a half to teach this kid everything in school, because that's what it is. If it costs $16,000 to educate a kid in my school district, it's going to cost $25,000 to educate the one who doesn't know how to speak English. Who's paying for that? Me. Yeah, we'll knock that off. $25,000 right there. Whew, off Johnny Mexico's kid. Oh, he's got 6 kids? Whew, $150. Listen, any person who tries to drive home to you the BS that it costs too much money to deport these people can't find their buttocks with both hands. Can't find them with both hands. You give Dennis Michael Lynch, Donald J. Trump, Jeff Sessions, and that's all. I don't even need Trump and Sessions. You just give me the program and it's over. I will make it not a loss center, but a profit center. You'd be like, wait a second, Lynch, how did you make money on deporting all people? Because there's a will. There's a will, there's a way. Yeah, I'm going to make it into a business. DML's deportation service. 1-800-DEPORT. Yeah, that's all it is. 1-800-DEPORT. Note to self. See if that's a number yet. If not, take it. Sell idea. Yeah, that's it. Anybody here want to do a deportation service? And listen, we're going to treat you like a human being. Totally going to treat you like a human being. Not going to come and rage you in the middle of the night and embarrass you and put a gun to your head and all this other different stuff. No, we're going to be totally professionals. It's time to go home. Pack your stuff. Can I help you with anything? You got to make any phone calls? Are you hungry? You need anything else to eat? What else do you need? Anything else I can do for you? Anything else? Tell me what you need. Okay, get everything all together. All right, whatever. You're hungry, you stop off at McDonald's if you want. Anything you want, I'll do it for you very nicely. I'm going to drive you. I'm going to put you there. Going to say goodbye, all the other different stuff. Treat you nice. Nice stewardess or nice steward. Going to come, give you a nice little hot meal on the way home. We're going to make sure you get off the plane okay. We're going to make sure everybody treats you nice on the other end. We're going to say goodbye. Maybe, who knows? We're going to give you a piece of paper on the way out. It says fill it out if you ever want to come back. I'll put it in the pile. It says you weren't a pain in the neck going home. You were nice going home. Oh, by the way, I need your fingerprints. Boom. What's your real name? Boom. It's all in the computer. Let us know if you want to come back. We'll put you in line. No penalties to you whatsoever. We're going to waive the penalties that say you can't come back for 5 years and 10 years and all this thousands of dollars. We're going to waive it because you went home like a good person. I'm sorry, does this not make any sense? Does it make sense? Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of sense. Yep. Makes a lot of sense. So, anyhow, I am going to conclude this session of the walk and talk / sit in the car and talk / I have to go home now because my stomach is ready to do some talking on its own. And I will be back to you tomorrow at our regular scheduled time, God willing. I will not be eating any more of those Santa cookies, which, by the way, I think that's what did it if I look down at it. Yeah, I think I paid the price from Christmas Eve, actually. Mary put out the cookies that Santa eats. Big, huge, sugary, delicious, colored, sprinkled cookies. As big as my face. Put them on the plates. Three of them, maybe 3 of them. A little bit of milk. Told Kelly, for Santa, go to bed. Santa comes down. Gotta leave him some cookies and milk. Okay. Do you think he'll eat them, Mommy? I think he will. She went upstairs. I looked around. Kind of realized the fact that everybody's leaving Santa some cookies, but nobody's leaving any for me. And so, I shortchanged Santa. I went with all 3 of the cookies. All 3 of the cookies. And then the milk, which I think, that's where I think it was. Because the milk was out for a while, I think it went sour. And Daddy was like, go, 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 go. At that point, I didn't care what it was. I just cookies, milk, Christmas Eve. Today. Daddy Lynch is paying the price. So anyway, until tomorrow, may you stay away from cookies and milk. And, a lot of times I know we walk and talk together and we do all this stuff together. We are going to vow, all right? Come January 1,
we're all gonna get ourselves a little more healthy, you know? The eating the bad stuff. It's no good, man. Gotta put health into the whole thing here. Health and politics, we gotta mix it together. All right, I gotta go. Until tomorrow, may God bless you. May God bless our troops. May God bless the United States of America. And may God bless handing out sugar cookies to anybody who goes home without giving us a hard time. Doesn't mean I don't love you. Just means don't want to pay for you.